Everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I'm your host, Mr. Craven. Alright, I'm going to be doing two streams today, but first I want to get out my new build for the MagDK. This is Wildfire. Okay, so this build is to address some of the issues that's going on with MagDK and sustain. Alright, so I'm more than aware that MagDKs are forced into a bad situation after they cast their dot rotation. They end up dropping so much magicka that they're forced to do heavy attacks to try to recoup. Now we have a lot of changes coming up in the Dragonbone DLC, which will also have to do with recouping some of that magicka during heavy attack. I don't feel like it's really going to address the entire issue with the MagDK. There has to be something implemented, maybe like what they have in the Destro passives, that you gain magicka after a certain point with the kills. That would definitely go a long way for MagDK. But actually, to kind of address this issue and to help players who want to play MagDK all the way, I've devised a build to help you, and it will do exactly that. So this is Wildfire, and let me go ahead and get into the build, the sets, and what it does. Okay, first of all, I want to go ahead get into my character sheet. We're going to be running a dual Destro setup. Now, typically, I don't like this type of setup on a lot of configs, but this configuration is going to work out a lot better. I will get into why. But our max magicka is at 39,605. Magic recovery is at 12,608. Now, first, you're going to say, Mystic, I thought you said you're going to help. Be patient. Max health, 18,923. Spell crit, perfect. 55% even, looks really, really nice. Magicka is allocated at 56 points to the left. Health is at 8. We are going to be running max health and max magicka. Now, if you're going to be in endgame scenarios and you want a little bit more sustainability, you can go ahead and use the Witch Mother's Potent Brew, but in 4-mans, you're better off using the max. Why? You're getting a little bit more towards your survivability, where in trial scenarios, if you have a warden, you'll get the toughness and you'll have an Ebon buff applied. So that'll make up for your survivability towards endgame, and it justifies the Witch Mother's Potent Brew. But in 4-mans, not so much. So you can use max. We're going to be using the Thief Mundus, very important with this build. Why? Because we want that 55% at an even. We're not hitting a threshold. It's perfect. Love it. All right, so like I said, it's Destro, so nothing changes on the other side. Let's get into the sets and what we're doing here. We're going to be running Burning Spellweave. No surprise. Guess why? We're a MagDK. But here's the kicker. We're also going to be running, that's right, the Lich set. That's going to help us with our sustain issue, and I'll get into how it works. So we have Burning Spellweave, Lich, and of course, our Lambrus. Now, if you want to use Valkenscorian, you can do that, but with this configuration, I've taken into consideration a lot of players do like Lambrus, so I just put it into the config. So let's go ahead and go down to it. Okay, so no Master Staff. You're not going to want it because we're going to be swapping out. Very important, but let's get into it piece by piece. Burning Spellweave, Inferno Staff. Infused, Shock Enchantment. Why do I want the Shock Enchantment and why do I want Infused? Well, two main reasons. Infuse is going to go ahead and reduce my cooldown timer, and the Shock is going to do what? Help keep my uptime on my secondary effect with Lambrus. Remember, Lambrus has a two-part effect. It deals fire and lightning damage. So I want to go ahead and, being the DK that I am, I want to keep uptime very high. So the Shock Enchantment is a perk, and that Infuse is also going to increase the damage of my light attack. So when I do lighter heavy attacks with this with my staff, it's going to proc. It has a better chance to keep the uptime in Lambrus. So we're going to go Infuse, we're going to go Shock Enchantment on Burning Spellweave, Inferno Staff. Keep in mind, you need this staff. It has to happen. You're also going to need the Lightning Staff of the Lich. Now this is Nirnhone with increase. Now let me explain this. What the Lich is going to do for us. We all know what Burning Spellweave does, right? When I deal damage with a flame damage ability, I have a 15% chance to apply the burning status effect to the enemy, increasing my spell damage by 507 for 8 seconds. This can occur every 12 seconds, so there's a 4-second lapse. The biggest thing about Lich, it's going to give us recovery, max recovery. When I cast an ability, under 33% magicka, my magic recovery boosts up to 996 for 20 seconds. This effect can occur every 1 minute. Now everybody's like, a minute? What? But 996, guys. That sustain is what the DK lacks. And this is a perfect set and configuration to do what? Help sustain your DPS. That's why a lot of players don't want to use it towards end game, even though it deals a nice amount of AoE damage and consistent dots. Problem of it is, it's forced to heavy attack. So how do you rectify that? You increase the recovery without sacrificing the damaging effect. And that's what this configuration does for you. So we have this with Nirnhone. We have the Lamberus. Now I've got to keep one piece Divine. So I have 2 infused. You can go infused if you want after you gold up everything. But if you're not going to gold everything, you want an extra piece of Divine. So I kept this Divine, Max Magicka. Burning Spell, Weave Jerkin, infused, Max Magicka. Lamberus, medium shoulders. Keep in mind we want that Undaunted passive. So we have the medium and we have the heavy. That's giving us a 6% increase towards our max stats. Comes in handy. Also, we have the Waste of Burning Spell Weave, Divine Max Magicka, Burning Spell Weave Gloves, Divine Max Magicka, Breaches of the Lich, Infused Max Magicka, Burning Spell Weave Shoes, Divine Max Magicka, Necklace of the Lich, Increase, another Ring of the Lich, Increase, and a Ring of the Lich, Arcane. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the skills. Primary, Inferno Staff. Remember, in the passives, very, very important here to remember is the... Okay, sorry. I'm having some connection error. Let me make sure everything's up and running still. All right, there we go. So, single target abilities. We want to maximize single target ability with Flame Staff. By what? 8%, right? If we put any AoE effects, we're losing damage. You just want to be aware of that. Heads up. Lightning Staff. Guess what? 8% towards area effect. Keep in mind, Lightning Staff has an internal, same with Flame Staff. Flame has internal single, heavy, and Lightning has internal AoE, heavy. So just keep that in mind. So, abilities. Degen, I use this for a builder. Why do I use this? Might of the Guild, 20% increase along with what? Our major sorcery buff. That's 40% increase. You can't afford to ignore it. If you are going to try to use Inner Light, it's not cost effective. That's probably one of the major mistakes because it's like 3006 where Degen is, guess what? 1002. Food for thought. Molten Whips. I use Molten Whips. A lot of people like Power Lash. I do not. Why? Because I get that 101 towards my Ardent Flame abilities for every Ardent Flame ability. Right? So, Burning Embers. Ardent Flame ability increased by 101. And it's compounding effects. Compounding. These are all dots. It applies. Okay. So, also, Engulfing Flames. Now, this is an AoE. Should go on the back bar, right? But you would think so, but 101, I'm going to take a little bit of a loss to put it on this bar. Just makes it easy. If you want to put it on the lightning bar, you can do so. That's perfectly fine, and you can switch out the other ability on that bar to keep a higher damage proc. Okay. Flames of Oblivion. While this is slot, it's going to give me what? The Major Prophecy. Usually I have Inner Light there, but I went ahead. I know a lot of players like this, so I'm just going to slot it, and they can use it. Perfect. Shooting Star, we're a Dunmer. That's on my race. It's never going to change. Why? I'm going to get that passive in my racial. That increases flame damage. Back bar. Eruption. I like Eruption. Why? It's one of the longest rated AoEs in the game. It has a direct damaging effect and AoE effect. I'm going to use it. Unstable Wall of Storms. Now, if you want to use Blockade, you can. I prefer Unstable Wall. Why? I get a direct effect after the effect ends. That's a lot more damage. 2 seconds, lose 3003. Not worth it for me. I'll take the 3003. Thank you. And goodbye. Draw Essence. This is an AoE effect towards mob control, healing, and sustain. So anytime there's a large mob, I can actually recuperate magicka, right, by the secondary effect. So after 2.5 seconds, I exhale my fire, dealing damage to nearby enemies and restoring 10% of the ability's cost for each enemy hit. that's a huge boon to the DK, right? Especially if you have a lot of targets. If you don't, not very effective. But when you do, very effective. Now, you can, like I said, you can take molten armaments, put it on the front bar if you want, and then put your flames here. But honestly, I mean, your engulfing flames, but that's up to you. That's a personal call. You can do that. But I'm definitely going to have this slotted. Why? Because heavy attacks are going to increase by 40%. Another form of major sorcery. Inner light, 5%. And guess what? Major prophecy. Also, standard of might. Now, standard of might is a big, huge perk. Why? AoE damage, going to get that multiplier. And we're also doing an increased 15%, right, of area of effects. That is big. That is huge. I'm going to take it. All right, this is my preferred in close ulti. If I'm needing range, then I go to the shooting star. All right, pretty much set and done with that. Let's get into the champion points. All right, we'll start off into the apprentice. Elfborn 1208, the equivalent value of the Shadow Mundus. Don't ever go 80, that doesn't change for me. Elemental Experts 1110. Spell Erosion 4257. Keep in mind, there, even if we get Major Breach applied and we have the 4,884, we're still needing to make up the value of the difference. So that's why we're putting 4,257 into Erosion, keeping in mind that Crushers will be applied. All right. Staff Expert 11.53. We can capitalize on heavy attacks, especially when we're using molten armament. Master at Arms 21.18. A lot of people are going to ask, what the fuck am I doing with this? I'm still going to capitalize on the Butcher, increasing my light and heavy attacks by 5%. Plus, this goes ahead and amplifies the effect from Lamberus. Okay, the scaling effect. We're going to put Thaumaturge up to 1208. If you want to go higher and you want to drop some into your Elemental Expert, by all means go ahead, but keep in mind Elemental Expert affects direct and dot damage, so in my opinion, not worth it. If you try to scale Thaumaturge higher, you will lose the Butcher. Once again, not worth it. Coming over, Ironclad 1602. Light Armor is going to be at 30, 49 in a Hardy. You can go Vamp. I don't have Vampire unlocked, but if you do, Elemental Expert's sitting at 1301, anticipating that. Thick Skin 904, Quick Recovery 909, Warlord is 10.22, Tenacity 14, Arcanist 14, Healthy 707, Block Reduction 904, and Tumbling 904, and that is the build. Now let me show you the trick here. Okay, why these sets? First thing you're going to ask. Let's go ahead and get this to proc with the Burning Spell Weave. I think I got it proc. No, I don't. I'm just trying to proc it.